From mass destruction to eternal torture, this is the downfall of Ben 10's worst foe, Billions. No, Albedo. Albedo's first official appearance in the franchise is in Ben 10 Alien Force in the episode Good Copy, Bad Copy. We see the Forever Knights being attacked by Humungosaur. He smacks them around before transforming back and demanding to know the whereabouts of Ben Tennyson. Wait, this isn't Ben Tennyson? Gwen and Kevin catch wind of the alien sightings and accuse Ben of riding solo. However, he's been studying for a physics test this entire time. They end up going for some chili cheese fries where we see Ben ordering twice. One Ben walks out before turning into Big Chill and flying away. Gwen and Kevin see him and follow him before the real Ben walks out, also turning into Big Chill and chasing after them. They catch up to the imposter and confront him. He says his name is Albido and that his species is of the Galvan, the same species as grey matter, although he obviously looks nothing like one. He says that he is the original builder of the Omnitrix and that he wants it back. Of course, we know from Secrets of the Omnitrix that Azimuth is the creator of the Omnitrix, someone who Albedo has also just deemed to be a liar. He believes and says to them that if Ben continues to use the Omnitrix the way that he is, it will rip a hole in the fabric of the universe. And obviously we don't want that. As of his appearance, Albedo explains that Ben's DNA is the default for the Omnitrix, therefore Albedo's copy is synced with the official version, which as a result has trapped Albedo in the form of Ben. With Ben obviously not willing to give up the Omnitrix, there is an all-out battle between the two of them, with quick transformations between different aliens. This goes on for most of the episode before Ben's Omnitrix times out. Albedo, being as smug as he is, also resorts to his human form and swings for Ben. Ben does the same, causing both of their Omnitrixes to connect to each other, aka
their proximity is creating a bioenergy feedback.
During this malfunction, Albedo is affected by the energy, inverting most of his colours. His brown hair and black t-shirt become a silver-white colour, his jeans become a darker navy, and his green eyes and jacket turn red. They manage to unlink their Omnitrixes just as Azimuth appears for literally the first time since Secret of the Omnitrix. He tells Ben that the non-stop use of his Omnitrix, switching between all the transformations, pretty much alerted him because of how much power was being used, but he's not in trouble because he knows why he was doing it. Azimuth then explains that Albedo was around during the creation of the Omnitrix because he was Azimuth's assistant, hence why he was able to make, albeit a rip-off, but copy of the Omnitrix. Azimuth then forcibly removes the fake Omnitrix's core and forces Albedo to remain in his current form. He then teleports away, seemingly via Azimuth to a prison, but it's not really stated where he goes. Albedo would then go completely unseen until Season 2, or Season 3, depending on which streaming service you're using, in the two-part finale of Alien Force, The Final Battle. Azimuth is approached by his assistant who reveals that Albedo broke into their storage facility, stealing an Omnitrix energy core, and a prototype device that Azimuth has been working on, the Ultimatrix. Albedo's appearance remains the same as before, except this time his white t-shirt has been replaced for a black one. At this point in time, Albedo's plan is still to steal the original Omnitrix in order to unlock his Galvan form, or at least the Galvan DNA, so he can turn back to his Galvan form. It's then revealed that he's working alongside Vilgax. Together, their goal is to acquire the Omnitrix and kill Ben Tennyson. Team Tennyson are up to their usual tricks, casually hurtling through space on an uncontrollable spaceship before saving themselves and heading home. Unrelated, but in this episode the showrunners dig at themselves and at Ben 10 Alien Force. It's kind of funny.
It's a sequel to the original show, but they kind of messed it up.
Kevin leaves and runs into Albedo. He turns into Diamond Head and Kevin crashes his car into him. After Albedo's colour switch, we've now marked the beginning of his aliens having a red Omnitrix and red eyes. Albedo knocks Kevin out and brings him to Vilgax's hideout. It's revealed that their plan is to single out Ben, making him as vulnerable as possible without his team. Gwen discovers the diamond shards as Albedo ambushes her, using swamp fire to knock her unconscious. We then cut to the rust bucket. Max is cooking some octopus eyes as Spider Monkey bursts through the ceiling. Max, as always, holds his own and manages to escape. However, Albedo did a number to the rust bucket. Max rushes to Ben's house where Albedo shows up on Ben's TV, showing a live feed of Gwen and Kevin. He sends his coordinates to Ben's Omnitrix, trying to lure him into a trap. Ben travels to Albedo's hideout where they both turn into Humungosaur, but that's not all. Albedo then reveals the Ultimatrix special ability. He hits the Omnitrix again, turning Humungosaur into his ultimate form. Say what you want about the ultimate forms, I could personally live without them, but seeing this as a kid was terrifying. Like, you look at that motherfucker and you're like, Ben is cooked. Vilgax then appears with an army of robots along with Kevin and Gwen tied up. With the threat of killing his team, Ben removes the Omnitrix and hands it to Vilgax. Before defeat, Max shows up in full plumber gear with guns blazing. Albedo tries to attack them, but Gwen uses a magic spell to teleport them away. Albedo is ready to end his alliance with Vilgax and retrieve the Omnitrix, but Vilgax has double-crossed him, keeping the Omnitrix for himself and using alien DNA to turn his robots into whatever alien he wishes. They then attack Albedo, disabling the Ultimatrix and holding him captive. He's tied to a machine on Vilgax's ship. Team Tennyson teleports in and they get surrounded by more of Vilgax's DNA bots. Ben then uses his voice control to set the Omnitrix to self-destruct. Just a quick pause. I don't know, maybe it's my accent. I'm struggling through this script. Between Albedo, Ultimatrix, Omnitrix, DNA bot, Team Tennyson, there is a lot going on here. Vilgax thinks he's bluffing, but before you know it, the Omnitrix explodes, completely destroying itself. The team continue to fight Vilgax as Ben frees Albedo. Because the Ultimatrix's energy core is official, Ben sets that to self-destruct, forcing Albedo to hand it over. Scared for his life, Albedo hands it over and Ben aborts the self-destruct sequence. He tampers with the Ultimatrix, turning it green and adopting it as his new source of power for the foreseeable future. Vilgax's ship crash lands in the ocean, eventually exploding. Team Tennyson has made it out, but it is believed that Albedo escaped during the hijack. Thinking back, I honestly recalled Albedo using more ultimates in this than just Ultimate Humongosaur, but I guess not. I also feel like at this point, the tone has really been set for Albedo. Whilst he has technically been defeated twice, he's proven himself to be a megalomaniac, wanting nothing more in life than to gain the powers of the Omnitrix and going any length to reach his goal. And he's not like other villains we've seen so far. He doesn't want to conquer the universe in the sadistic way that Vilgax has tried to throughout the show. No, he wants to claim ownership of the universe's power, and I feel like this is only the beginning. Albedo's next appearance is an Ultimate Alien in the episode Double or Nothing. Ben, Kevin and Gwen are sat in a restaurant eating chili cheese fries when they see a TV ad for Ben 10 Live, a stage show with identical replicas of Ben and his aliens. They take Kevin's rust bucket to the theatre and watch the show from themselves. Ben is fuming watching this happen, but it's quite noticeable that some of Ben's theatrical transformations are on the pudgier side. They go backstage to discover, you guessed it, Albedo, impersonating Ben for the show. He reveals that he's using his cursed luck to make money off of Ben 10's aesthetic. Quite the downgrade from wanting the Omnitrix, for sure. It's also revealed that Albedo has hired different alien species from within the Ultimatrix to play Ben's aliens. They threaten Albedo with a court summons and get on their way. Then, Hugh, which fucking hilarious, reveals to the team that Albedo has been saving money to build a doomsday bomb that he plans to set off that night. According to Hugh, the bomb will turn everyone into a duplicate of Ben, although the team realizes it doesn't really add up. Ben and Albedo get into a fist fight, but the bomb goes off as everyone is still inside the building. Gwen shields them with her magic, but then Albedo's true intentions are shown. He's given himself the capabilities to alter his DNA, as if he had an Omnitrix. And this will allow him to revert himself to his Galvan form. He says that he's done fighting them now that he no longer has to deal with the fact he looks like Ben. Until he does turn into Ben again. Realizing that he can't hold these forms, we learn that Hugh purposely meddled with his plans so Albedo wouldn't leave the planet. Which, okay, sure. Ben uses Ultimate Echo to knock Albedo out, who is then taken away by his alien co-stars. And that is the last we see of him in this episode. Okay, a weaker Albedo story, but that's not a bad thing, right? It can get better, right? Albedo wanted to revert himself to his Galvan form. That's a great story concept, and had it maybe happened in like a two-part story where then he does revert to his Galvan form and then that's his final appearance, sure. But this was a little underwhelming, if I do say so. Albedo's next appearance is in Night of the Living Nightmare, where he is believed to use a Dream Eater to trap Ben within a dream, finding out at the end of the episode that he actually slipped on a smoothie spilt on Ben's floor, and he was the one with the Dream Eater in the dream. The episode then ends with there being no ramifications to Albedo's actions, or at least that we know of yet. This is why retcons are a beautiful thing. 3 episodes later, in the finale of Ultimate Alien, Albedo does get a small cameo in a flashback Ben's having about his life, but other than that, we don't see him again until Omniverse. This also sees the transition from his name being Albedo to Albedo. Apparently this is to do with celestial sapiens meddling with the universe. Whether I can keep up with the new pronunciation, we'll see. I'll try my best. Don't beef me. In Season 4, Episode 7, The Ultimate Heist, Ben and Rook are on a mission, and Ben is sounding off. More well-spoken in both his accent and his vocabulary. We learn that after the events of Albedo's last appearance, he was apprehended by the plumbers and imprisoned. Somehow, with the help of Kyber, Albedo managed to escape and switch around him and Ben, even giving Ben white hair, red eyes, red clothes, the lot. Ben manages to escape using nanomech and confronts Albedo, where he reveals his true plan. He's been searching for a piece of tech for his watch, though not an Omnitrix, but a device that will help stabilize his pre-existing ability to transform. After some 1v1 with Ben, Albedo retrieves the crystal he was after, turning his stabilizer into a new version of the Ultimatrix, reviving Ben 10's most controversial element, the Ultimate Aliens. But, may I say, the designs of the Ultimate Aliens in Omniverse and the way that Albedo would go on to use them, I almost said Albedo then, the way he would go on to use them, 10 times cooler than the Ultimate Alien original designs. Maybe that's just me. There, I said it. We see him cycle through some ultimate forms, including new ones such as Ultimate Gravitack. However, Albedo states in the episode that he could take the real Omnitrix for himself with ease, but won't because his Ultimatrix is better. Wasn't that the original purpose though? I know we started diverting more into the I want to be Galvin again rather than I want the Omnitrix, but surely you could guarantee success with the real Omnitrix. Why does he not want the Omnitrix anymore? That was the original point. And then he became Ben, and then he wanted to be a Galvin again. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? We then see Albedo transform into a Galvin, but then also become an ultimate Galvin, looking like a hybrid of MODOK and the leader from Cap 4. In the following episode, Albedo is appearing as Ben again. After a whole episode of Ben shenanigans, he finally faces off with Albedo, where, once again, he goes through the effort of explaining his master plan. This time he does want revenge on Ben for the imprisonment and humiliation, threatening Rook and Max's life as they search for him. Ben then struggles to take on Albedo before taking him on as Feedback, canonically one of his strongest aliens. Albedo is transformed back to his Galvin form. Kyber shows up as they hold Albedo hostage until they reveal they have Azimuth held hostage, continuing this entire story into the next episode again. They're slowly draining Azimuth of his intelligence using a cerebral vortex, transferring his brain power into Albedo. Ditto Predators are used to hold down Team Tennyson. They manage to break free and escape from Albedo, preserving Azimuth's intelligence in a green orb called the Brain Sphere. And before you ask, it's spherical. Kevin and Gwen show up to assist the team as they crash land on Earth, further fighting with Albedo. This is one of the parts that I really hate about the downfall of Albedo. He is then found trying to harness enough power to completely reconstruct the universe, making it perfect to his standards, taking on the name of Prime Thinker now that he has all of Azimuth's smarts. Remember when I said earlier that Albedo wasn't obsessed with universal domination? Yeah. Out the window. He then has this whole monologue to himself where he realizes that he and the universe they're in is so inconsequential that he doesn't know where to begin, leading him to being outsmarted by Ben 10. Most intelligent being in the universe at this point, bear in mind, tricked into getting distracted, later defeated thanks to one of Ben's new transformations atomics. What? Azimuth's brain is restored and a punishment goes ahead for Albedo. His stabilizer malfunctions and it transforms him back into teenage Ben before transforming him again into classic Ben 10. This is the first time we've ever seen a 10-year-old rendition of Albedo, and then he cries. The episode ends. I need to preface, Albedo shows up in another 3 episodes of the show, and we are going to talk about that, but I'm already pissed off with the character. I don't hate Omniverse, I'm one of its partial defenders. How did they mess up my boy so bad? Fucking loved Albedo, and already I'm pissed off. In the season 5 episode, And Then There Were None, we're met with an omniversal version of Ben, who has never retrieved the Omnitrix, commonly referred to as No Watch Ben. He stumbles upon a variety of evil doppelgangers, one being Albedo. I don't think it's evident whether this is Prime Universe Albedo or an alternate universe Albedo, but it is the 10-year-old Albedo, so, you know, one could believe. His role in the episode isn't that important, rather than a recruit of Vilgax and Eon who are travelling the Omniverse, trying to create an Omnitrix-wielding army to conquer the galaxy. Albedo is referred to amongst the group as a multiverse Ben, despite not being that. Vilgax then sets off a device that destroys everything in its path, Albedo included. In the following episode, everyone can be seen getting restored via the use of clockwork, reversing Vilgax's time bomb, except for Albedo. And no one mentions it. Unless, of course, this is meant to be Albedo, but no. The Season 8 episode Malgax Attacks is Albedo's final episode. He teams up with Vilgax to retrieve the remains of malware, using it as armor for Vilgax. Albedo once again utilizes his ultimate form, despite his previous appearance suggesting he can't do that anymore. Honestly, Albedo's in this episode, but he might as well not be. He doesn't really contribute anything, he's just kind of there to be Vilgax's assistant. Vilgax ends up getting destroyed and they imprison Albedo, still as a 10-year-old Ben, borderline doing child labour for the rest of time. And then that's it for Albedo. What a goddamn shame. It's heartbreaking. I loved him as a character through Alien Force and could see him becoming a much bigger character than he ended up being. I loved his self-loathing whilst he was Ben's doppelganger, constantly complaining about how disgusting humans are, all while trying to get his hands on the universe's great power. Then the writing slowly went downhill for him, reducing him into nothing but a recurring joke villain that always failed in the exact same way. He's a Galvan and he keeps getting outsmarted. Even as this monstrosity. That's of course not to say it's all bad. I much prefer the Ultimates when Albedo uses them in Omniverse, along with still loving his first few episodes. Honestly, this is how I'd fix Albedo's story. I'd keep his Alien Force story the same, a Galvan wanting the Omnitrix for himself and encountering problems along the way. Then, instead of the Ben 10 life story, I'd take the Ultimate Albedo story from Omniverse and bring it forward to Ultimate Alien. Create a 3-part story all the same about Albedo creating another dud Ultimatrix to restore his natural form, then going Ultimate, but not to take over and alter the universe, but to actually hunt down Azimuth and acquire the real Omnitrix that he's working on. I'd remove the element of finding Azimuth and stealing his smarts, leaving it down to Team Tennyson to forcibly defeat him rather than having to trick him. Then when the story's over, Ben could configure the Ultimatrix to unlock grey matter and extract its DNA, imposing it onto Albedo, similar to how it expelled DNA in Alien Force. Albedo could be granted the gift of his natural form, even playing into a everyone deserves to feel comfortable in their bodies narrative. Then he gets imprisoned, serving as Team Tennyson's motives for justice over revenge. And then for sure, Albedo in his natural form could appear in Omniverse, maybe even as an anti-hero style ally to Ben. But with all the multiverse stuff already going on in that show, Albedo really doesn't need to be a Ben doppelganger anymore. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you think Albedo's story was better going into Omniverse? Or do you also think the character was wasted? And if you want to see more Ben 10 content from me, then click the playlist in the end screen. Huge thank you and shout out to Sarah Jane, our Super Dino Mode Patreon.